broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh, hello! Hey guys, welcome back to AfterBuzz TV, the Astronaut Wives Club after show. Tonight we are covering episode 5, Flashpoint.
This song is making me really anxious.
I want to do the bird. Do you guys know how to do it?
No, how do you do the bird?
Absolutely not.
I was.
Go ahead.
You knew.
Oh, it's a thing?
It just makes me want to like go like this.
You do the drive, the hand drive.
Kind of. I feel like they would do the hand jive in this show.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's a very like era-y dance.
Yeah. Okay.
What's up? The gang's all back together.
So happy to be here.
I know, me too.
Gang's all here.
Yay. I'm your host, April Wissenhant. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AfterBuzz TV.
And also at AfterBuzz TV.
April Wissenhant. Where can they find y'all?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. You can find me, Khalil Boo Boo, at Twitter on Twitter and Instagram at Khalil Boo Boo.
It's already there. We're already there.
And I'm Sterling Cates, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sterling Cates.
As always, you can find all of us at AfterBuzz TV, Twitter, Instagram, tweet us, comment on YouTube. We love hearing from you. If you're downloading on iTunes, give us 5 stars. We love hearing everything you have to say about this show and about our after show. What did y'all think of tonight? It made me like, ugh, oh my gosh, heart burst.
I saw a little tear come out.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking
at
about.
The end, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. So kind of I feel like this was a random part of the show tonight. The whole Joe and Betty air conditioner dilemma.
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of just did it to make them have a part of the show tonight.
Yeah, right. They have to keep them relevant.
I appreciate the silliness in it though.
Oh, I do
like just
too.
watching them run to the vent and like.
Well, and it also shows them interacting with the other wives, and kind of letting them in a little bit, or Marilyn in particular, when they were so set on not being a part of their lives at all,
or making them useful.
Yeah,
exactly.
There you go.
And we can, I mean, as California residents, we can relate to this not
AC
central
struggle.
air
100%.
It's still. I think I've literally said this before, but it's so crazy to me that we don't have central air out here, like everywhere.
It's 2015. I'm still living the no AC struggle.
It is a struggle.
Show.
That's bad. But so they're going over to Marilyn's house because they hear that she has AC, and Marilyn's kind of shocked, and she thinks that they're being really nice to her. I think the reason that this storyline kind of like stresses me out a little bit is because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's more names to remember.
Yeah, more wives. But at least they came bearing gifts. If you're going to come to my house unexpected, you have food, take a seat.
Yeah.
Come anytime you want.
Well, I'm like, especially with what they were bringing, there's no question. Like, sure, you can come in and help me upload my slides or whatever she was doing.
She had cupcakes with her.
Right.
Always say yes to the cupcakes. And Susan is someone who we saw last week. I feel like she's kind of like the ringleader of the Gemini wives, whatever it is.
We're going to take a poll all right?
Yeah, tweet us. Let us know.
We're going to take a poll. Let us know, is it Gemini or Gemini?
We've heard it both.
So we're not sure.
There's a part of me that just wants to say Gemini because it sounds cooler. But I feel like it's Gemini.
It does.
Well,
I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, so when they've hung out with him a few times, Susan comes over at one point, and Marilyn's just like, oh yeah, they're really loving helping me do these slides. And Susan kind of quickly catches on to what exactly is going on, and that they're just there for the AC.
Yeah, well, Anne sees them completely like let the AC flow up the
like up their dresses and everything.
That looks like it feels really good. Like I've never run a dress, but I can just
air out,
imagine,
sometimes.
Have you ever never
direct breeze.
But you've seen one of those like air conditioners in the floor, right?
Yeah.
Those things are powerful.
Like when you the dress and then like you're pushing it down.
Marilyn Monroe action.
Yeah.
That's what they were going for.
It looks like it feels great. I mean,
it does. Trust us. But so, Marilyn kind of gets upset. Her feelings are hurt. But then at the end, we see, Betty and Joe, great women, Mercury women that they are, they show up after, the big tragedy of the episode happens and invite Marilyn and I guess Susan along with them too, out to the park so they can all, just kind of be together. So I think we're going to see, this is just kind of a little snippet of this episode, but I feel like we're going to see they're doing that for a reason so that we can see more of them.
Yeah.
More of these two characters.
When big stuff like that happens, which we'll talk about later, it really does put things into perspective. Like this silly little high school drama that we've been worried about, isn't that big of a deal in comparison to like what's going on.
People come together. You think about any funeral, and you start seeing all these family members that you haven't seen. They don't come to reunions. They don't call. Christmas. They don't answer the phone. But
and at the end of the day, their husbands are all have the same mission and they're all risking their lives, so that could happen to any one of them. So they all would need to be
same way, but
not the exact same way, but they could all die. And so they need to be there for each other. You saw death coming.
Well, I wasn't thinking it was going to be who it was. Even though that's United States history. But okay, so on to our next, one of our favorite ladies, of course. Reen is kind of she's putting out her woman power too.
She made some power moves in this episode. I'm proud of her.
Me too.
That's women.
Well, she's always trying to prove herself as being intellectual and writing. There's more to her than just her looks, and she really proves that this episode.
I think so too.
Now,
go ahead.
Okay, now one thing I will say though is the guy, he was an ass to her or whatever, but he did make a very valid point.
Completely agree with you.
He made a very valid point about her not
having the experience.
The experience in the resume and all that stuff compared to the guys that is in his office. So
the story behind this is that she meets or sees this man at I forget what party they're at. They're at some party though, and his name is Cal Butterfield, and he's the editor of the Post-Inquirer. And she says she's going to approach him and ask him if she can join his staff. She wants to be a writer. And he tells her to meet him at this address in a couple of days. And, we all said it while we were watching. I thought it was like, his home address.
That's going to be his apartment. He's like trying to take advantage of her.
Because she's like, hi, sir, I would like to do this. But that's because, and that's one of the things that's tough about being a woman is just because someone is as beautiful as she is, that doesn't mean that that's what she's going after. But
I have that same problem.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
No.
But so she shows up and it's at like a little diner restaurant type place, and he's with two other men. They've probably had a few martinis, she insinuates later in the episode. But she says, he kind of asks her like, why should I hire you, because you're an astronaut wife and because you wrote your own article
about yourself.
About you.
Yeah. She's like, I wrote this myself. I was the editor of my newspaper.
In high school.
Right. And that's all, great, but I completely agreed with you. He made the point, Mr. Butterfield said that, I have people first he asked her to write 20 articles to prove herself because she asked what she needed to do.
Which isn't out of the ordinary.
Right. I feel like, it sounds like a lot, but really, like, it's not that much. And she kind of, it irks her a little bit because she thinks he's kind of messing with her. And that's when he says, why would I have people on my team with 20 years of experience who are, political writers and reporters and have done all of this stuff.
War correspondents.
Right. And you just want me to hire you because you think I should and you're an astronaut's wife.
Right.
So, it really is kind of a double-edged sword because maybe she is asking for something that the average person wouldn't get so easily.
Right.
But at the same time, she is a good writer from the stuff that we've seen so far anyway.
Have you read any of her work?
Yes, I actually read her Life article right before we came in here, and I was like,
really?
Reen, you got it going on.
Find any juicy stuff in there?
Yeah, some crazy
Moving on. Anyway.
It sounds like a company name.
Anyway, she does it. She writes the 20 articles.
Yes.
And she learns a lot about herself and tells him to shove the articles right where his mama gave them. I was like, right where his mama gave him. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I guess his mama did give it to him in a way, but I don't know.
I thought you was going to go with, like, where the good Lord split him.
I
think that's what I meant to say.
Oh, this
you guys are both just like,
show.
No.
No, we got you. We knew where you were going.
Right.
So she meets him again. She has written the articles, and she basically says, she throws them at him and it's like, I would never want to work for a man like you anyway, but thank you for helping me find myself. And she really feels that after, writing these articles, because they're not, he approached her and said, I have a great recipe column that you could do. And of course, that's not what she wanted to do. And we could switch you out with a writer. But she says, she's found herself, and she wrote, at one point in the show, we see her and Scott, I think they're outside of like a movie theater or something like that, and they see protesters talking about Jim Crow, stop Jim Crow. And I think that kind of like gives her some of the inspiration. And she knows that, like, sure, I can write great about myself, but these are things that are like really mattering.
Right.
And I respect that for Jean. I was like, go ahead, Jean.
Yeah.
Rain, I'm sorry. That's what I meant to say.
But I'm also like, I don't mean this to sound prediction-esque, but I'm also like, okay, you found yourself awesome, or you found your voice, great, but like, what you gonna do with it?
I was thinking that too. They don't have blogs back then.
Yeah, but she can still, keep writing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they don't need that income because, not that I'm saying she should do it, she shouldn't work or whatever.
Well, she might want
she's got to keep writing though. That's the whole thing. Because every time that the only thing she's written was that Life article, and that had to be done for her husband's job.
She can go to Life. She's already got the connect.
But now that she has the materials to support her, she can submit those anywhere.
True. New York Times.
Yeah.
Who knows where we can go? So speaking of Life articles, our man Max, we see tonight a good amount of, but then we probably won't be seeing so much more of him anymore. Him and Louise, they had their little dance in the barn last week. And, I've been thinking this whole time, like, there's definitely something with the two of them.
Yeah, there's definitely a spark, but also at the same time, even just with her changing her hair, and Alan was like, oh, guys don't notice, that type of thing. And then Max, of course, that's the first thing he says.
Right.
The side guys always notice.
That's true.
Right. So, obviously Louise likes that attention and appreciates that attention that she's not getting from her husband. But I really liked how she took that and channeled it to being open and honest with Alan, because she needed to address what was going on, and by not doing that, it was just making it worse.
Yeah.
So I think she learned a valuable lesson from Max. Yes, maybe they had a connection, but I think what she's learning from that can make her relationship with Alan that much stronger.
What was the saying that you said your mom always says?
I say, you don't. No, I get it.
Oh gosh!
You get what you have the courage to ask for.
There you go.
There you go. And so she, she's kind of a little weary about things at first. He tells her that, or it kind of like comes up in random conversation, that he is leaving. So this episode is centered around Gordo's launch, and he tells them that he has received a job from a progressive paper in San Francisco, and that this will be his last article, and that he'll be leaving immediately after Gordo's launch and going to San Francisco. So he kind of tells Louise, like, I want to, or if you want to see me before I go, let me know. I'll be in my room all day. And she kind of, so she's sitting in her, I keep wanting to say hotel room because it feels like a hotel room, but I guess her house in Houston. And she's listening to a radio broadcast, and they're talking about Alan and his rocket and how it's lost its steam. I 100%, I did not know that that's what they were talking about in that moment. Did y'all?
Not until like it got to the joking part, or like his rocket, when they said his rocket is out of fuel.
Yeah.
I was like,
Okay, I see what you're doing there.
I see what you're doing there.
What your mama gave you, where the sun shines.
I was thinking that they just meant it like, oh, he's not going to fly again, whatever. I mean, nothing's happened to him at this point, but I just didn't get that. But so she listens to...
obviously, that's kind of like, a punch in the face.
Punch to the gut?
Punch to the gut. I'm like messing up all my sayings.
No, you're doing them beautifully.
For her. Because, to hear that on the radio isn't about your husband.
Especially when, like, it's now publicly embarrassing that your man is out there soiling his oats, and like you're in the public's eye as his wife, and then like on the radio they're making fun about how he's got, what do they call them, cakes?
Something.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It was like the Florida cakes. I forget what they called it.
Yeah.
But so for that's got to be really embarrassing.
Yeah, and we saw like in the first episode or something like that where she was like, do not embarrass me.
Right.
So it's kind of like the worst thing for her that people now know about this.
He can't keep it in his pants.
Yeah, and not with her even. And he walks through the room as she's listening to this radio broadcast, Alan does, and just doesn't even acknowledge it. I mean, I guess like why would he
I was
be
gonna say,
like,
what can you say?
whoa.
What can you say at that point?
Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah.
I guess that's like the 60s versions of what goes on today when like you get tagged in a picture on Facebook and like your girl sees it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't remember that thing.
But now you untag.
Yeah.
Or make your profile private. I don't know. But I feel like that's what kind of made her want to call Max that night. So we see her call him, and she doesn't even say anything, but he knows it's Louise. Mm-hmm. And that's when he asked her to come over the next day.
Be here all night.
Yeah.
Whatever
right here for you, baby.
Right.
And he looked...
Never stop trying.
He looked so excited. And like when he's sitting in his room and the maid walks in, but it's, he wanted it to be Louise, and I kind of felt bad for him at that point. What?
Poor Max.
That's really disappointing.
Can't catch a break.
I know, but he makes I think it's him who says, you get
what you have the courage to ask for, people.
So I mean, he sees her as like an unhappy woman, and he feels like they have a connection. So I mean, obviously
to save her from whatever, but she just has to stand up for herself.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she's married, so that's not the best thing to ask someone to 60s, do.
So,
April, when you know.
I guess, but she did not know, and she did not show up, but she seemed upset about it. Alan saw her laying in bed. And I don't know. She's like, it's nothing serious. I'm just sick. Cough, cough. But
you whore.
So then later in the episode, we see that Max is leaving to go with Trudy because Trudy's going to go to Hawaii, and they kind of share, Louise and he kind of share a little bit of an awkward moment because he says, this isn't how I wanted to say goodbye. I'm not going back after this, and they kind of just like longingly stare at each other, and then he turns around and walks away. Bye, Max.
Bye, Max.
We'll miss you. But
we'll see him again.
I think so
Hopefully.
too. I bet he'll come back later in the season.
Yeah.
But so finally. So episode 5, we finally see Louise stand up for herself, and she confronts Alan later in their room, and just says, I don't want to be, Frosty or Lady Louise anymore, because she's like, I know that you are with other women, and I say nothing. I find condoms in your bag, and I say nothing. I hear these jokes, and I say nothing. And she says, basically she doesn't want to share him. She wants him. That's what she's always dreamed of. And that's how she wants it to be. And he seemingly agrees with her.
Yeah.
It's crazy how 40, 50 years later, still going through the same mess.
I know, right?
People don't change, I'm trying to tell you.
Guys, we got to stop treating our mains like this, okay? It's fine.
Your mains? What, are there sides?
There shouldn't be anyone else, especially if you're married.
Okay, so it's fine. So if they're the side chick, then you don't have to. Okay. I got this. But there's part of me that believes, we see later at the picnic, they kind of share a moment where Louise is with the girls at the picnic table, and he looks up and smiles, like he loves
he's
her.
like, that's my family, and I want to be there for them.
But
that's what I got from that longing stare.
I'm gonna do better, baby.
I'm gonna be a better man.
We'll see.
But really,
we're watching.
They've kind of already had this conversation before. But I guess my takeaway from the whole situation is that I really have been thinking that Louise was kind of, semi-falling for Max.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I felt like she was genuine, though, in what she was saying to Alan. I don't think she was just saying it because she wants to be with him because she's an astronaut. It seemed like she really does love him.
I think Max was just a distraction and also kind of like, oh, maybe my life could be better. But then she realized that she just has to be open with Alan about what needs to change.
Right.
And when she does that, then it will improve.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I don't know.
I was thinking when they were having that talk, I kept talking about an explosion. And it's like, oh, yes.
That's the explosion.
Get in his face, girl. Don't look away. I wanted her to get in his face, though. But don't look away. It's like,
I know.
Get it
I'm sure they'll probably get there. And Alan's just over there like a sick little, or like a wounded little puppy. Like, she called me.
Yeah, when she was like, I know you're with other women, he was just like, oh, man.
But I mean,
yep, I have been. You didn't even try to deny it.
You leave condoms in your go bag, and your kids find them.
Which is also still relevant today. I know a lot of guys who have, and ladies who have a bag just sitting in the trunk of their car. And
really?
It has like toiletries and clean underwear, just because you never know what'll happen. Not necessarily saying you're going to be doing something you shouldn't be doing, but you might get wet.
Just gotta be.
You're going to need some clean underwear.
Just gotta be prepared for all
situations.
So,
you never know.
So in the South, we have like hurricane prep kits, but I guess there's like a side chick kit too.
That's what Khalil's saying.
I need to get like some more duffel bags, I guess.
No.
I need to get some duffel bags. And can you teach us how to make these go bags?
Sure.
No comment.
All right.
Oh gosh.
All right.
Okay, so our fave peeps, Trudy and Gordo, we finally get their time tonight. Mm-hmm. And before we get into Gordo's flight, we see they're at that's the party that they were at. They were at the party for him, like the pre-launch
and
party.
He had the suit on, my man Gordo.
Of course he did, because he's always got to show everybody
seen.
up.
Yeah.
Gotta be seen.
But so Trudy only can stay for a few minutes because we see her friend, I forgot her name that they told us. I will find it in my notes later.
Oh, Dot.
Okay, yes, there we go. So we see her friend Dot get off of an airplane. They hug, blah, blah, blah. She tells... so they're all back at Trudy and Gordo's house later, and she says that basically, I forget his name, of course, Loveless, which is a big space race guy. Mm-hmm. He was studying in Russia for a little while, and they were training women. So
alongside the men.
Right.
Flats.
So yes, so he came back and he created the FLATS program, which means First Lady Astronaut Trainees. And Dot was a part of this program.
And you can see in Trudy's face that when she's telling her about it that she's like really happy about it, but also really sad that she's missing out on that experience.
I know. But maybe she's better off for missing out on that experience. So they had to pass every test that the Mercury guys did too, and she apparently passed, or Dot apparently passed with flying colors. They tell us some things that they had to do, and it's like how many 13 feet of tube
rubber hose.
Of rubber
hose, yeah.
How is that possible? I don't either.
It sounds like a very interesting trick that I would love to see. Just how it works. That's all.
I know they have to hold their breath for an insane amount of time, and they're in some chamber for a long time. Gordo lasted 3 hours. Dot lasted 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
But the problem is that in order to be accepted as an astronaut, I guess they have to pass this jet pilot, what's it called?
They have to have a certain amount of test pilot hours. And in the United States, women can't do that.
Right. So this is it. NASA requires just test pilot experience.
Right.
And every just place is run by the military, so therefore women can't join. So they are going to Washington to kind of fight this, and they're not fighting for women to be able to join these jet test places. They're fighting to say, like, okay, that's not necessarily necessary if you have, you know, a certain amount of experience with civilian flights.
Right, they have equivalent experience, and we find out later during the trial that it was which one is it, Glenn or
John, Glenn, and Scott?
Yeah, John had certain, you know, things.
He wasn't an engineer.
Yeah, he wasn't an engineer. So they made exceptions for him. So, like, why can't they make exceptions for the women?
Right. And this is, you know, I feel like this is bad of me to say because I'm a woman, but so I was fully convinced the whole time, you know, that the women, and it seemed like the, you know, people who were in charge of the hearing were kind of going along or siding with the women.
Right. But it seemed like they were fair.
Yeah, I think you do kind of have to, like, side with the person who's fighting for, like, a right in that situation over, like, no. But, so everything they're saying, you know, we passed this. She has, or Dot specifically has, you know, even more flight experience than some of the Mercury astronauts do. But it's all commercial because she doesn't have the opportunity. It's literally not possible for a woman to become an astronaut because it's not possible for them to get this experience. So we know that John and Scott testify, and we don't know before if they're going to go for it or against.
Well, no, they said the whole point that they picked those two was because they were open-minded and fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Who said that? Trudy. Trudy said that in the beginning.
Yeah, and they seem that way too. I mean, and they both, like, John says, let's be clear, first things first. Like, I don't, like, race, color, creed, whatever. I think if you have the qualifications, then you have the qualifications. But he does say that it doesn't matter how much commercial flight experience you have until you have tested in these or unless you're a test pilot, it's just not possible because you're not put in the same situations that you would be otherwise.
Which makes sense, you know, and I think they should have been fighting for the women to be able to do the test pilot.
Right. Yeah.
Because, you know, they don't know what it's going to be like exactly until they do that. So, I mean, that's just the whole point. They should have been fighting for that.
And since they weren't, it kind of landed me on the side of they shouldn't be able to do it because it just makes sense. If you are, you know, this is a whole lot of money we're dealing with, but besides that, it's people's lives, of course. So if you are going to choose someone to go into space, why not choose the person who has that did pass all of these tests and does have all of this test pilot experience? I mean, why would you not do that?
Well, they should just be given the same opportunities to train that the men do. So that's
completely agree.
It's not that they shouldn't or they should. You know what I mean? It's not that they shouldn't be allowed to go up in space, but they should just at least get the same opportunities to train and decide if they're as qualified. And that could be an individual basis, you know. It just depends on the person, not gender or anything else.
So yeah, I completely agree, and I just think they were fighting for the wrong thing. I'm not really sure who kind of decided what they would fight for, but
well, I mean, that's just a whole nother thing, like when trying to change the military rules versus changing the space, you know, the space program. It's just deeper and deeper into it. So I think they were trying to do the fastest way of getting it done.
Yeah.
Women just
and it made sense though. I mean, their argument did make sense.
Yeah.
And like Trudy
said,
they had, you know, the truth on their side. So
I think that I like the moment kind of toward the end of the episode where we see Dot leaving and Trudy is seeing her off, and the girls walk up and ask her if they won, and Trudy says no, but you know, we made history. We made history. The words that we said, like this proof, because I think kind of before this, people didn't think that women could, you know, make it through all of these tests that these supermen
Russia had just sent their first woman as well.
Right. Yeah. And that's at the very end of the episode. Trudy is like reading a paper, and Russia did it, and it actually ends up being longer, or they break the record, and Gordo had just had his launch, and they break the record and have the longest trip in space, and it's a woman. But poor little Gordo, like, his fire gets taken away so soon. So he has his launch. He's super excited about it. He's going to be, or he was supposed to be in space for
37 hours. right?
Oh, he was going to orbit for 37 hours.
Oh, maybe.
I wrote down 34, but then I know he ended up doing 34. And
you
like
said he had to cut it short.
Yeah, it was 34 hours and like 22 orbits or something like that. It was over a day. So, like, we see nighttime in this, which we haven't seen before. But, you know, all kind of stuff is going on before. They want to change his suit and add a screen. He's just kind of stressed about it. And all the while, Trudy is going through her own stuff. And so, definitely one of my favorite parts of the episode was when... you know, he's getting ready to launch, I guess, in a few days, and he sees how upset Trudy is about this whole situation, that they lost the case, and he takes her to fly, and even though it could get him in a lot of trouble. I just thought it was really
does
sweet.
some sexist things in the beginning of an episode, and then, like, towards the end, he'll start being a gentleman and, like, start being compassionate about Trudy's feelings, and...
I mean, he's got to win her back somehow, you know?
Yeah. Well, that was the way to do it, I feel like. But
I was very proud of him.
I know, I was too.
I said one more episode, he'd be in there, right?
That's right. You did. So we see them finally share what's like an actual kiss tonight. And it was so exciting. But Trudy's like, the first one, Trudy's like, no, I mean, don't like take... This doesn't mean anything, whatever. But, you know, she's got to play it cool, too.
Come on, girl.
Got to play hard.
Come on, girl.
Got to play hard to get, you know?
Yeah. But
gotta keep them guessing.
You can tell that she's like...
That's my other motto.
Got to keep them guessing.
Yeah,
do we shimmy when we say that? Okay. But, you know, we can obviously see that she's feeling him again.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone is over at her house for the launch. Everything seems to be going well, but then she gets a call from John in the middle of the night, and it's overheating. Carbon dioxide is filling the tank. The automatic transmitter, I forget the word. He has to like re-enter the atmosphere manually. And whenever John is like describing how to do this, it kind of freaked me out because she's like, how does he do that manually? And he's like, he uses the horizon as a guide. I'm like, what? The horizon is your guide to enter back into the atmosphere?
Yep.
But okay. So Trudy has her first like kind of realization of, I could possibly lose him, and she tells John to tell him we will be waiting in Hawaii for him no matter what. And it just shows that she loves her man.
Yeah.
Right?
And she does.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets the kids, they go to Hawaii, and Gordo thankfully lands safe. He traveling for 34 hours in space.
That speech that he gives.
Oh, he tells, so someone asked him, like, hey, what's up? I don't know what they asked him, but he says that.
I don't think that was it, but something along those lines.
That was close, though.
How was space?
How was space?
And he tells them that he wouldn't be there if it wasn't for his wife, Trudy, because she was a pilot before he was, and she's the best teacher. And
she convinced him to get his pilot license.
In Hawaii, where they first met, and then... through the crowd, Trudy pushes through and
pushes those reporters out of the way.
Lays one on him.
Lays a big one on him.
In front of everybody. Let them take pictures, take notes, all that. Yeah. I see you play. I know what you did right there.
I got to. He even says, he's like, I thought you were just messing with me to keep me living. And she was like, oh, Gordo, shut up. She didn't say that, but that was, the attitude that she was giving off.
Right.
But so basically they're in love, and it made me really happy, and I had a tear over it.
I cried. A few tears out of my left eye.
I watched YouTube.
I do like, weird, mine was out of my right eye. Crazy. But yeah, so Gordo finally gets his flight. Trudy and Gordo hopefully are back in love. That would be wonderful.
Wait. Don't go too fast. We're back.
Am I missing a part?
I wouldn't say in love, but
I would just say
on track.
I would say he's back.
He's back in.
Is he back in the bed?
He's back in the bedroom.
He's in. And so now we just have to make
now
it.
He's got to keep it up. He's got to make him earn it.
Oh, okay, you're perfect.
You're so tough over here, man.
No, that's how you have to do it, though. Yeah. You can but you have to. She can give him a little kiss, and then
what else does he have to do?
She teases it. She has to tease him for a little while. Like, oh, you thought that was good? Okay, that's what I would do. So okay, maybe they're not in love, but you know what I mean. They're on On track.
Yeah.
You did call it. You said that he would be in it this week, and he is.
He's going to be in.
Yeah.
He's in.
Yeah.
Now he's just, I feel like he's got to make it, like, home.
Yeah.
Like, you know? Like, you can be in, but you're not really home.
What should his next step be? Flowers?
No.
I don't know.
Advocating for, going
Maybe
to
he
DC.
can, like, sneak her into one of the astronauts. I'm sorry.
Into a rocket when he goes,
yes, one of the rockets.
That'd be nice.
That would
Good
be
move. Okay, so they have their moment.
She might get really excited.
That's true. Oh, maybe that's where they bring the love connection back together. A few like random little things that kind of happened tonight. So we see the Gemini wives earlier in the episode approach Annie, and they say that she's their favorite, and then she tries to say thank you and stutters, and they laughed at her.
Yeah, that was so nice.
That made me
That's
want
right.
to slap someone. But okay.
Yeah. Annie is
to
the
slap a
best.
hoe.
She really is. And John is talking about how some man named Stu, he is a part of Bobby Kennedy's staff. He wants he wants John to run for office. There's a Senate seat in Ohio coming up. This clearly like scares Annie because obviously she has her stuttering problem. But at the end of the episode, she says like, I think you should definitely go for it. Kind of like, we'll make it work.
Right.
And that's the thing that I love about her so much because he is so like accommodating and helpful to her, but she's the
gotta
same
be
way.
the same way, yeah. It's great.
And it works.
I still don't get how that's such a big issue, though.
I mean, I guess
really
it's just embarrassing for her.
Well, and there's just like a precedent of, when someone's running for office, their spouse is also kind of like a spokesperson for them. They do events, they do different, press conferences, whatever, but they're all very well spoken in most cases. And they get just as much public attention and press attention as the candidate does.
But he also said we'll both be out in the open.
That's what, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like,
Maybe I took
that's
it
going to
somewhere
have
else.
to be. What do you mean?
Oh, thinking like he
what
has
you hiding?
Yeah. Oh, John.
Yeah.
No, I think it just means that she's
Yeah,
going to
I
have to
think he
stand up
might
and
be
talk
right.
in front of people.
Probably.
And that's theirs,
right.
or...
Yeah.
And he's not hiding anything, Khalil.
No,
I'm not
he's saying that he was. maybe.
Yeah.
Like we'll both be out in the open. But I think he was just saying like, oh, it's going to bombard both of our lives. Like we'll be in it together kind of thing. For me, holy craziness, biggest thing in the episode for me anyway was at the very end when Reen is in the restaurant talking to the Butterfield guy, the editor. A man opens the door and says the president was just shot. And now we're about to get into the time where JFK was assassinated, and that's when things kind of really change in the space race.
Right.
Even though, I mean, so LBJ is the vice president at this time, and the space race is kind of his baby.
Right.
So it goes in a different direction now. But this is kind of this is what brought everyone together at the end of the episode when we were talking about they were all at this picnic. Because huge things like that, it's what make you, and it's sad that it takes something like that sometimes.
Right.
But it's what makes you realize, like, okay, even if we all have these different opinions and do these different things, like we are still one country that should be united. And I mean, we didn't even live in the JFK era or the Martin Luther King era, and I feel like I feel real emotions about those things because it's just so crazy.
They're huge, and they shaped our country.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad they're going there with the show though, and they're talking about actual
I feel
real
like it's
things.
unavoidable though at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of gotta talk about
with a show about this, you have to talk about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so we'll see more about that, I'm sure. Anything else that we missed?
That's it.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about some predictions.
All right. Khalil, you go first.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Thank you.
So bossy, right?
So what do you guys think is going to happen with Alan? Like, what do you think? Because in the preview, it's
gonna
They said
cheat again.
cancer, right?
cancer. Is that what they said?
I heard
cancer?
y'all didn't hear me. I said, did they just say cancer?
Oh no, you said cancer.
Because I thought I heard the word
maybe
cancer.
they did.
It's not
I
another
didn't hear
space
it.
program, is it?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, anyways, he has some sort of like health issue. So
Could you see him like throwing up at the end and
Yeah.
everything?
Oh,
Yeah.
I totally missed that.
I thought I heard the word cancer, but I could
Yeah.
have been making that up. But I think it's going to be something, and it's probably what's going to knock him out.
I think Green's going to become a really famous writer.
You said
of
death,
sorts.
right?
Yeah.
What?
I didn't think so in that way.
Who's coming down?
He said, you said death, right? I know. Oh, gosh. There's so many women in the show. Don't kill me.
Huh? Well, no, that was one of April's predictions.
You said what? That Rain's gonna die?
He was still talking about Al.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Rain.
Sorry.
If it helps,
scared me.
You're moving a lot faster than I am.
If it helps, I almost called Alan Allison just now. I think Rain good things are gonna happen for her for sure. Yeah. Reporting wise.
All right.
I think it really will take Trudy and Gordo a little time to kind of get back in the saddle.
Yeah.
Do we think Trudy is going to be able to pursue becoming an astronaut / pilot /
I think she probably will make some leeway for future women.
I'm trying to think of when Challenger happened. That was 70s, right? I just don't know when in the 70s.
I need to do some research before next week.
So, I mean, we know that women have been astronauts. So she is at least a part of, paving the way, just like you said.
Right.
I think, I don't really have anything on Miss Saucy tonight. I mean, we did see her.
Yeah, we saw her, but it was just kind of like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have any major things. I feel like Louise and Alan will hopefully, maybe his sickness will bring them together. That sounds kind of bad, but.
Maybe he'll behave.
Well, he's not going to be able to be an astronaut anymore if he is doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, so that means hoes ain't gonna be flocking no more. Basically, you're not hot.
Oh, it's great. You get your husband back because he's not hot anymore.
He's not hot anymore.
Poor Louise. She just
so bad. You
goes to the ringer. I mean, we keep it real.
Right. Oh God.
Oh my gosh. All okay. Right. Well, that's it for tonight. Sorry about the weirdness. We like to have fun. Once again, I'm your host, April Wissenhant. Thank you so much for watching. Where can they find y'all?
I'm Khalil Boo Boo. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Khalil Boo Boo.
And I'm Sterling Cates, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sterling Cates, and also on the Mistresses After Show that starts right after this one, and Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, I'll be on Mistresses with Sterling. You can find me at April Wissenhant. You can find all of us at AfterBuzz TV. Don't forget to download, tweet us, comment. We love reading them. We'll see you next week. Bye. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye. See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.